Good morning. I'd just like to start. I think everybody's probably noticed the patch on my left arm. Because we have a bye the following week, we're going to participate in Coach to Cure DMD this weekend, and our staff will have the patches on our game day wear. I think everybody's also aware of the relationship that my son Kyle has with his friend Danny Garofalo, who actually suffers from Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. And it has brought me personally even further into this cause. And it's something that we're very proud to do this week and excited about participating in it again. We got a really great game this Saturday, I think, for our fans to see in High Point Solutions Stadium. It'll be our annual blackout game, so we'll have our black uniforms on. We have an SEC team coming to our stadium for the first time in the history of our program. I think that's exciting for us as a football program, but for the coaches and the players, we've got an opportunity to be 1-0 against an excellent football team. Coach Belima has done an excellent job there. He's changed the culture and the values of their football program in a very short amount of time. I think that has shown up most dramatically in their run game, where they're one of the top rushing teams in the country with two running backs averaging over 100 yards a carry. 100 yards a game. And with that, I would open it for questions.
You said Gary would be evaluated. You might have more today. Can you update us on the probable?
I have not seen Gary yet today. I know he's going to see the doctor today. I'm hoping by the end of the day we will have some idea. Certainly by tomorrow morning we're going to have to know, so that we can set the course of the week in terms of reps for the quarterbacks between Gary and Chase and Mike Bamonte as well. So we got to make sure that we're getting the right people ready. It's a very short amount of time you have. Really, the whole game plan goes in about 28 hours from Tuesday morning until Wednesday about midday.
Is it something that you would ever leave to a game time decision, or do you feel like however you determine the reps in practice this week, that's how it's going to go come Saturday?
It's probably somewhere in between. I think it'd be tough for it to be a game time decision with a quarterback. I don't know if you put a quarterback in a great position, if you put him out there without actually practicing what he's going to see and what he's going to go against. Arkansas has got an excellent defense, and I don't know if you just want to put him out there on Saturday without practicing.
Is there anything you could tell us more about Jamal Murrow with the kidney?
You know, it's I don't really want to discuss it, but it is a kidney situation, and Jamal was with us yesterday in the meetings, but he's not at this point able to practice. I do expect him to be back after the bye week.
Kyle, do you notice a difference in philosophy, especially on offense, between the previous regime and the new one? Is it much more run-oriented?
I don't think there's any doubt. I think and a part of that could be their personnel. They had a quarterback last year, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and I think their quarterback this year has done a nice job, but they're asking him to do different things in the game. I don't think it's any secret that Coach Belima philosophically believes in the same things we believe in here. He wants to run the football, and he wants to stop the run, and they've done a very good job of it so far, and that's exactly what we want to do. So it is going to be a physical football game on Saturday with two teams that are going to give it their best attempt at running the football.
Kyle, you have the running back who's number one in the nation in yards per game. They have 4 and 7. What are the challenges of those two guys? I mean, I guess somebody will always be fresh. And what do you see from them? Are they similar, complementary backs?
I think they're similar. I think it's really about the other 10 players on the field at the same time that the running back is. I think the running backs are talented players. I think we've got talented running backs, not just PJ. But I think they have an offensive football team that's committed to running the ball. Their players up front play the game in a very physical manner. Their players on the perimeter play the game in a very physical manner, and I believe we do the same thing. And I think that's the enjoyable part of a game like this. You really get to test yourself on offense against a defense that prides itself in stopping the run, and they get to do the same thing. And on both sides, we've had pretty good success doing it.
Kyle, what's the protocol when dealing with a player with a concussion? I guess what's required of them to return to practice and who's involved in that
I leave it
decision?
entirely to the medical staff. That's the protocol. When they tell me he's ready to go, he goes back out there. Until then, it's not my area of expertise.
Kyle, does last year's game have any tie-in relation to this year's game? I mean, obviously it's a different staff for them. You might have a different quarterback. What do you remember from that game, and does it apply to this game at all?
I don't think it does, and I really don't think it does in most cases. I think probably even less in this case, just because the staff is different. Some of the marquee players on each side of the ball are different. Certainly, some are back, but a lot of them are not back. So I think we've got two different football teams. We've got a different venue for the game. They have a different coaching staff. We have two different coordinators. I think there's a lot of differences, and this will be your prototypical one-game season.
Last year when you had the black jerseys, you had family on the back. Is it the same thing this year?
Correct. That's what's on the back of those jerseys.
Brandon Allen, their quarterback, I think suffered a shoulder injury on Saturday. Will you are you planning to prepare for him, for two guys, in case he can't go? What do you think of their quarterback situation?
I've had the opportunity to meet Coach Belima. He was one of the first people I met. As a head football coach, he was very kind to me. Does not strike me as a person who says things just to say them. So Coach Belima has said he will play, so we'll get ready for him to play.
Kyle, you mentioned Mike Bamonte. Does he factor into the quarterback look this week, or is this Chase's job if Gary can't go?
I think he absolutely factors into it. If the doctors tell me that Gary can't go, then Mike becomes the backup quarterback, and then he has to assume the role that Chase has had in the past.
Do you see a noticeable difference in their offensive line from last year to this year?
I do see a difference. I think they're more committed to running the football than they were last year. They're an impressive group. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. They look like the offensive lines that Brett had at Wisconsin. So it's been a quick transformation for him with that program. He's done an excellent job.
Hey, Kyle. With Paul James, is it a case where he just blossomed now in college, where maybe he didn't in high school, or is he just someone that was overlooked, at that point in his career?
I am of the belief that players aren't overlooked. I think there's too many programs recruiting and spending so much money and resources in recruiting. I don't believe that players are overlooked. I didn't believe that when I was coaching in 1AA football or FCS football, to say it politically correct. I think different players end up in different situations for different reasons. And having not been involved in PJ's recruiting process in high school, from what I understand, he had some injury issues his senior year of high school that led to him coming to Rutgers as a walk-on. I don't think that's being overlooked. I think when coaches see that, they're probably less likely to invest a scholarship at that point in a player. But from all accounts, PJ was a excellent high school football player. So that was his ability to play the game of football was never the issue. And even his first 2 years here, he would get dinged up from time to time, and maybe didn't get the reps he needed to show what he really could do. And I challenged him with that last year, and we had a great conversation at the end of the season. And I challenged him with that and coming back in the best shape of his life, contributing on special teams, because I thought that was important for every player in our program to really make a commitment to contributing on special teams. And I promised him you'll get the opportunity just like everybody else to run the football, and if you're the best one, you'll be the starter. So he has taken that opportunity and made the most of it. So I guess to answer your question, I don't think he was overlooked.
So you could see last year that he had talent to be where he is today?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. PJ, from the moment he's been in the program, has shown flashes of talent.
I'm just curious about the walk-on program. I know he's a preferred walk-on, and it's a little different. But as far as your walk-on program goes, how many players generally arrive for tryouts, and how many players from those tryouts generally make the team? Do you know those numbers? Or?
You mean the tryouts that we have once school starts?
The open tryouts, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, anywhere from 5 to 15 could show up on any given year. Very few ultimately make the team, from those open tryouts. I think the majority of our walk-ons that are on the team are more of the preferred type walk-ons, or people that we're familiar with from high school football, even if they're not necessarily the classification of the preferred walk-on.
How much, if you don't have Gary, does that change your game plan at all offensively, if at all, and why?
Philosophically, it won't change what we'll do, but I think where it changes the most is from a play calling standpoint. And I think that is the art of being a play caller. It is making sure that what you have in the game plan, you're able to accentuate through the players that are on the field. And that's not just the quarterback; that could be the receivers, the running backs, etc.
Just a couple more injury things. Is Jeremy Deering, do you expect him to go?
We put out an injury report. I'm not going to comment any more on injuries.
In coach speak on their defensive line, 42 and 86. What have you seen from them?
they are a physical, strong group that also has the ability to rush the passer, with their defensive line in general. I think they have one fewer sack than we do on the season. I think we have 10, they have 9. And that really stems from their ability to stop the run. And I don't think it's any different with us. If you can stop the run, you put people off schedule. And when you get off schedule, that's when defensive linemen really become dangerous. The more an offense can stay on schedule, well, then very rarely do you see that defensive lineman's number one pass rush move, because he can't tee it up.
So you suggested something on Sunday that this would be the biggest test yet for Paul James running against an SEC defense. Is that how you view this in terms of?
I think this season this will be the toughest test we've had on offense, not just for Paul James, but really for everybody. I think this will provide us the toughest test we've had all year in terms of running the football. I think this defense has shown already. They're only giving up 105.3 yards per game rushing. So this is an excellent challenge for us offensively, for all 11 guys on the field to run the football at the level that we want to run it at.
Kyle, what are you looking to get out of Davon Jacobs and Quentin Gause this week, given Morrell's status?
I expect them to be better. I expect them to be better than they were last week. Now they have the experience, more experience of being in a game, and I think they need to improve this week if we are going to be able to contain an excellent Arkansas offense.
Any other questions for Kyle?
Could you just expand on that story you started to tell about meeting their coach, who was one of the first people you met? You said, yeah.
There was a head coaches event out in Arizona that I was at, and Brett had worked on the staff at Iowa with Rob Smith, who was our defensive coordinator last year, and I knew Brett was going to be out there. And as an assistant coach, you generally know a lot of assistant coaches, and as a head coach, you tend to be in more events with head coaches. So I knew I was going to be at this event, and I had asked Rob if Brett was going to be there, and he said yes. So Rob had told him I was going to be there, and we spent probably about an hour and a half, just talking philosophically, program things, and it was good for me. It confirmed a lot of the things that I believed in, and as I said, I think philosophically, the way he has run his programs, whether it was Wisconsin or Arkansas now, is very similar to the way we run our program here, and I think people will see that on Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.